Welcome to the Audinator, a revolution in spreadsheet risk control, an incredibly powerful yet easy to use spreadsheet auditing and error resolution software application. Thank you for joining us today. In this video, we're going to demonstrate to you a powerful new tool called the Audinator, which allows you to very quickly and easily audit any type of spreadsheet model or report or worksheet or what have you. Just by a few simple clicks of a button, and you can check for errors and risk very thoroughly, very completely, very quickly throughout any type of spreadsheet like this. Let's actually walk through quickly the setup of the Audinator and the main user interface. What we're looking at here is the main screen, and the first tab, and we have a set of navigational tabs, is where you select what tests you wish to run in the audit. All different things like fixed value formulas it checks for, calculation errors or inconsistencies across columns, etc., etc. There's also more tests that you can run by clicking on this More button, but these are the primary ones that you'd want to run. And you can deselect or select these very simply. And for the cases of what we're going to run today, let's just deselect one here. And then various other tabs, including settings. You can choose what color you want the error cell that's identified to be shaded in, so it's very clear visually where the errors are. And we'll just go with orange here. You can also select, if you don't want them to be shaded, you select do not shade cells, and you're fine in that regard. And various other things in terms of whitelist, which we'll get to in a little bit. And then I'll jump to this part too, just so you know, there's a very clear and thorough guide here by all the different categories in terms of helping you through the entire process, from performing an audit to interpreting results, navigating errors, overriding errors, using whitelists, adjusting settings, etc. Let's go ahead and run an audit. So we're going back to the main screen here, and we're not going to use a whitelist to start, and we'll deselect that test that we had already before. So we'll go ahead and run the audit actually, and we'll take this forecast model. And as you can see right now, it's actually running. It's updating in the status bar down here in the bottom left-hand corner all the tests that we selected to run. And it's done. In a matter of few seconds, it just ran tens of thousands of formulas that it checked. It went through tens of thousands of formulas and told us that there were, I think it was 328 errors or something like that. And it told us also that we had excluded one test, which was that omitted cell test. Anyway, what we're immediately brought to after that is the main initial screen here, and a very important one, which is the audit grades. This is, in essence, a report card. So you get a very quick view, and you can also have a very good comparison across different spreadsheet models for both yourself and the organization. So it's very easy in this way by having the grades as to errors and risk, and also completeness. In this case, it's incomplete because we excluded one test. But you have these grades here, so the organization or yourself can establish minimum thresholds, such as nothing below a B on errors and nothing below a B minus in risk. And ideally, you probably want to be higher than that anyway. And there is guidance for that, incidentally, in the interpreting results section here of how you should interpret errors. But it gives you that very good relative comparison benchmark that is very good for yourself, as well as, let's say, internal audit in your organization or within your finance group or other analytical group or what have you, to establish minimum levels of acceptance. From here, we can go into the next level of detail. This is the highest level, just a summary. This next part goes into, well, another summary, but here it's by error category. So very quickly, and as you can see, it took us as error tabs. It gives us a summary by error category, by test, if you will, of the quantity of errors that exist that were found in each one of these. And so if it's untested, it's yellow. If there's no problems, it's green, and red if there are problems. So we can just navigate from each of these areas, each of these sections, by clicking on this button. And here, and you'll see, and I'll move this out of the way too, it takes us to the actual section. So reference to empty cells, calculation error takes us there, fixed value formulas. We can navigate back and forth. And by the way, you can also hide the Audinator main screen, and you can return it to maximize. You can move these screens around as well. Once you get here, and by the way, this is the detailed error log. So now that we're in the third level of detail, from the audit grades to the audit summary by category to the detailed error by error listing of the errors. And it's shown, categorized by type of error, as well as you can change that if you want to sort it by location, so you can work within a spreadsheet, particular spreadsheet, and go from there. And by the way, you can see this is actually the forecast model that we audited. This is the model that we audited, and it sticks this error log in the first tab. So it's very convenient. It's very convenient to go back and forth and have that right there. When I say back and forth, all of these errors are hyperlinked. So you can just go back, and it sticks in this arrow here, which you can delete if you want, but it's very convenient to navigate back and forth, and just go through and navigate and look at the errors and correct the errors. So correcting the errors is a breeze. Finding them is a breeze. Everything just navigates from one to the other, from category to actual individual error, and you go through, and this really helps you very quickly, very efficiently go through and fix any errors or fix any risks. Let's take it a step further here. Let's look at and actually let's look at a specific error. Let's say this error, I-16, and I'm going to scroll up, and let me hide this. And it took me to I-16. You see, if I click on here, it takes me right to that I-16. And in this, it's actually got two, in fact. If I do a mouse over, fixed value formula, which is what we clicked on, the fixed value formula here for I-16, but also formula inconsistency across adjacent columns or contiguous columns. And what we see here in the formula bar is, first of all, this fixed value, which is very bad to have a fixed value like 0.66 in here, because if something in the model changes, that doesn't update. So that's a big risk area. As well as we can see the formula as we go to that one column to the left. Here, we also have a fixed value here, but it's inconsistent. It's 0.3 here and 0.66 there. Another big area of risk, and that's why it identifies as formula inconsistency. So that's something that obviously we would want to see here. And by the way, all the errors you can see are shaded in the orange color that we selected in the settings. So it's very visually insightful. You quickly see where the problems are. You can mouse over, and you can, as you go back and forth and correcting them. So you fix that error, and then you'd be done with it, and you move on to the next one. Well, let's say you go to a particular error, and let's columnar inconsistency, and I'll hide that. And you're going through, and you get to this one, F18. So F18, it took me here, and you can see here's the formula, and it's an inconsistency across columns. If I go one column to the left, this is equal to 0, and here it's equal to F16 plus F17. Well, that may be a problem. Typically it is. But in this case, it looks like it's a budget forecast in the first 3 months. Maybe they zeroed them out because there's no, or whatever volumes, whatever that number might be in the first columns. So it might not be an issue, especially since we see to the right, the formulas seem to carry through consistently from this point. So we might say that's an acceptable risk. It's really not good spreadsheet development practice, but it might be that it's an acceptable risk in this particular case. So now we can go back. Instead of fixing it, we can go into that spot right here, F18, and we go in this error override column, and we go ahead and we get this pop-up screen here that allows us to override that error. And as you see, as we click on that, it says ignore. And we can go back and forth and do that, either correcting, or if we're okay with them, overriding them. And so in this error log, which is, by the way, is you can print out, you can decide what you might want to override and what you might not want to override very quickly. From this point, you can hide those errors, and now you can print a clean log of the errors, which goes along very nicely, obviously, with your grade report as well. So now, and I'm going to hide this again, let's look at a step further in terms of the overriding. Now we've overridden everything. But guess what? If we want to re-audit this spreadsheet, if we didn't have this next powerful feature which I'm about to describe, we would have to do all this all over again with the error overriding. The errors that we corrected, well, they'll have already been corrected, so that's not an issue. But the ones that we want to ignore, that we want to override, they would still be there. So what we've created here is an incredibly powerful tool. And incredibly powerful feature, which is a whitelist. It allows you, through the Audinator, to create a whitelist so it identifies all the errors that you overrode. And so whenever you re-audit, you never have to go through that process again. It excludes automatically those that you have already overridden. And let's go ahead and click on that. And here, it asks us, do you want to create a new whitelist? And we can, or we can append to an existing one. So another beneficial feature of this aspect is that you can, once you create a whitelist, you can add to it. You can add to it so as you reevaluate next month, 2 months from now, next quarter, next year, however often you re-audit this spreadsheet in your continuous auditing process, you can always append to that whitelist. So again, you're never ever having to redo all that you've already done in your evaluation processes. So let's go ahead, and this is the first time for this, so we'll say yes. It's a new whitelist. It gives us a default name, which we can change, and we'll go ahead and we'll stick with that, and we're done. The whitelist has been successfully created. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to close this out. I'm going to close the spreadsheet that we just audited, and I'm going to maximize the Audinator, and I'm going to reset this, and let's say it's a month from now and some more changes have been made to this spreadsheet model, and so I want to re-audit it. Well, now I've got a whitelist that we built from the last time, so I'm going to select Use Whitelist, and I'll click Run Audit. I will find the whitelist file I wish to import, which is right here. That's what we just created, and then it asks for the file that we wish to audit, which is the same forecast model. And now it's going through again. It's evaluating error by error, test by test, and going through and looking against that whitelist and excluding. And again, it went through extremely quickly for tens of thousands of formulas, as you can see. And now there's few errors, only 279 this time, because we overrode some of the errors. And so I'll click OK here, and I see my grades are here, improved slightly. And now let me go and look at the errors, and here's a detailed listing here. So very easily, we've gone through, we've audited a spreadsheet, we created a whitelist, we re-audited a spreadsheet. Again, I can obviously go back and look at everything again, but everything that we had overridden before and created a whitelist for is automatically excluded. Tremendously powerful in terms of improved efficiency. Every time you re-audit, that you have this, all the work that you've already done that you're building off of, rather than going back and going through it again. For now, I think that's it. We've given you a good overview of the Audinator and the powerful tool it is in helping you to resolve errors, find errors, and resolve them very easily, and helping you through your continuous audit process, whether you're an analyst, a finance person, an internal auditor, or anybody who uses spreadsheets to any significant degree or has responsibility for the integrity of spreadsheets to any significant degree. The Audinator, as you can see, is a powerful tool that you should have in your arsenal. If you'd like to find out any additional information, please visit our website at audinator.com, and there's lots of information, including screenshots and videos and the like, as well as contact information and pricing. Thank you for joining us today. Have a good day.